Hey everyone, Kalika here and Mike with the Home Happy Mortgage team and Dallas as well. Dallas, you can say hi.
Hey,
Awesome. We are excited for another episode of our podcast. And today we're going to talk about something that a lot of people know, but a lot of people have questions as well, which is home equity, what it does, what you can do with it, and why it's important. So, Mike, I'm going to pass it to you. What's on your take on home equity?
Yeah, it's a word that's used a lot, but a lot of people don't necessarily understand it fully. Quite simply, it's your home value minus any debts you have secured to your home, like a mortgage or a HELOC or a line of credit. And the difference is your equity. So if you own your house free and clear and it's worth $1 million, you have $1 million in equity, which is awesome. Most people, it's more likely that they have a $800,000 place and they have a $400,000 mortgage and they have a $150,000 HELOC that the bank talked them into taking as for emergencies, and it's used up. And so basically what's that? That's 550. So they have $250,000 in equity. And that's not bad. I mean, it's probably better than most other investments you have in your life. And for most people, this is their biggest asset, as we always say in here. But Dallas, talk about what that equity can do. What is it? How is it useful to the average person?
well, it depends on what we're doing here. And like I did in the last couple of months, buying a house in Vernon, I was able to pull some equity out of one of my rental houses and use that to purchase another property. So, it's money that it's tied up until you're ready to go, and then you can just pull it out and make it happen.
Yeah, and I think just to go off that, I mean, there's some people that are in the camp, their parents taught them or their grandparents, like, you pay off your mortgage no matter what. That's the most important thing. And I get it, because coming from an era where mortgages were being called and you had no control, it makes a lot of sense. I think in today's era of people, they usually have a car loan all the time. They don't necessarily pay off their cars. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but that's just the reality of life now. Sometimes it's not a bad thing to think about using that equity for other reasons. And I'm not here to sell it. I just want people to understand that there are options. And another thing that's gone on in our business, like you can speak to this, but is older people. I mean, they've retired or semi-retired. Their income isn't as high as it used to be, and they can't just walk into their branch and just get money if they need it. And for a lot of people, they're sitting on expensive homes, and they may not owe anything or very little, but they're having a tough time accessing that equity. Talk about that a little bit.
Totally. Or sometimes you just want to have a trip, explore different places, do things as you still, in a good age, let's say. And so equity can be a solution in that case. There's different structures, of course, that we can work with clients being in an older age, where they can take leverage of the equity in their home.
Dallas, when you see people and they're thinking about making a move maybe, or thinking about stuff, how do you present equity to them? Like, is there ways they can improve their equity without obviously paying off their mortgage, but in reality, is there other ways they can look at building up the equity in their property?
Yeah, for sure. Like, especially if we're looking at putting in a suite downstairs in the basement, sometimes majority of the time it's going to cost you $100,000. And that $100,000, what is that in a mortgage? You know what I mean? If we're getting $1,500 downstairs, now we're cash flowing. So you're building equity in your house and you're making money.
Yeah, and long term, your value has probably gone up, which is going to add to your equity as well. So I think that's the key thing we just wanted to get into here, was just that equity is there. You want to grow it as much as you can in the most economical way. I mean, you don't want to go house poor. We all seen things like that. People want to pay their mortgage off faster. Obviously, paying weekly or biweekly, those are advantages and other stuff. And I wasn't really trying to get to that point, but I think just understanding that it is kind of a bank vault. I mean, you have a value in that property that you own. It's probably going up over time, maybe not straight up, but slowly kind of working its way up. And to Dallas's point about using your equity, like that's huge. If you can use one asset to create another asset, and now both assets are going to slowly move up in value, and find a way that you can cash flow that's amazing. I mean, to me, that's long-term planning and financial smartness. So the word equity is just misunderstood. I think a lot of people just the banks talk about, oh, you can get you can do an equity takeout, or they use these terms and they kind of scare people and they don't know what that means. And that's why I really wanted to drill it home, is how it works. And Klinka, what am I missing?
No, or sometimes like to Dallas' story, like bringing up stories, and Dallas like went through this. It's it's what he did. So bring people ideas of what they can do with equity, because sometimes you're sitting in a group of friends, people are talking about equity. You're not the one who understands or who knows it, but you're scared of asking that question. So to the point of our podcast, bringing real life experiences or examples of what is possible to do with equity. I think it's the key to just poke that question in your head, and if you want to talk more about it, we're here, happy to discuss. But essentially there's a lot more that you can do with home equity than just sitting in your house.
Just don't use it to buy a car or truck.
Yeah
Exactly. It's true. Like it's so easy to go down that path. Our whole society is built on, hey, what kind of car do you have? You should get a new one.
Totally.
And, look at ways to create assets that are going to grow in value, not decrease. And
yeah, we should talk about that one time, the difference between good and bad debt.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's,
Absolutely.
that's equity to me is the building block, and you got to work with that. And sometimes just scraping up the 5% to put down to buy your first place, that's creating some equity. And it doesn't seem like a lot at first, but as time goes by and you pay your mortgage down and the value goes up, that equity starts to grow. And getting into that market, if it's right for you, I mean, there's some people who don't want to get into the market. No, that's fine. You're probably not watching this anyway. So, but for a lot of people, that first step, whether their parents have to help them or they find a way to do it themselves, that's huge. But to me, that's the start of your equity, and your equity starts to grow. And obviously, paying your mortgage down faster is a great way to do it. But adding other assets using your equity is incredible, because that just sort of multiplies that equity growth. And long term, I think it's a great plan, despite all the government ways of making it more and more difficult for a lot of people. But yeah, I think it's a really good topic. Do you guys have anything else we need to add about it, do you think?
Okay, we're good on this one.
We'll probably let it go on that one, and then we'll be on the next one. Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed that. We're going to do more. Please leave comments if there's topics you'd like us to cover, and please like and subscribe. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
See you later.
Bye-bye.